Hello, my name's Ken Nair, and I'm with Christ Quest Ministries, where we disciple men to become the kind of spiritual leaders who are living examples of the Christ. This time I'm talking about solving puzzles. 1 Corinthians 1, 4, and 5, Amplified Version, is talking about God. It's telling us that it's Him, quote, who comforts and consoles and encourages us in every trouble, calamity, and affliction, so that we may also be able to comfort, console, and encourage those who are in any kind of trouble or distress, with the comfort, consolation, and encouragement with which we ourselves are comforted, consoled, and encouraged by God. For just as the sufferings of Christ are ours in abundance, so also our comfort is abundant through Christ. Okay, if you're like me, in the past, I didn't experience much, if any, consolation or encouragement or comfort during my troubles, distresses, or sufferings. Not until I came to a place of understanding that there's another realm of life that totally altered my way of thinking completely. It's the spiritual realm where God lives, since God is spirit. Therefore, anything He communicates is going to be spiritually emphatic. Now, I'm able to recognize that God's consolation, encouragement, and comfort is going to be spiritually centered. Here's an example. It's about a traumatized mom and dad who are desperately looking for answers to find some kind of consolation and encouragement, maybe even some comfort. One Sunday I was preaching at a church on the topic of all things happen for the good. After concluding, that couple came up to me. The father, whom I'll name Andy, said, "You say that all things happen for the good. Is that right?" I answered him affirmatively. He asked, "Can you tell us the good in our son being killed on a motorcycle last year on high school graduation day?" I answered, "Yeah, I can, but I need to prepare you to hear it." In order to build the necessary frame of reference for them to comprehend my explanation, they enrolled in the Christ Quest Institute. This allowed me to introduce them to the second way God uses to bring about a change in a man, which is through discipleship for Christ-likeness. The first way is accepting the Christ as his Savior. Discipleship is the process whereby we learn that God's proven, dependable answers work. And as such, we can pass on that knowledge to others. We can pass them on because we've applied and verified those answers do work in our own lives. We've proven that His ways really do work. It's almost as if you could trust God. Andy and his wife, whom I'll name Bonnie, having finished their first year of the Christ Quest Institute, were sitting in their car in the parking lot of the church. I was in the car with them. And since they had finished their first year in the discipleship classes, I let them know that they were capable of understanding the answers to their question. I could now tell them what the good was in their son's death. They were ready and enthusiastic to hear. I started by asking Andy's wife, "Do you think this last year of discipleship has helped Andy understand you better than you would have ever even imagined possible?" "Absolutely," she answered. "Do you think he's much more able to identify with you emotionally, enabling him to identify with you spirit to spirit?" "Oh yes," she said with tears in her eyes. "And I'm so grateful too." I turned to Andy. "Andy, do you think your relationship with Bonnie has grown in this last year?" "Greatly," he said with a smile on his face. "Do you think your relationship with God has greatly improved because you've been drawn so much closer to Him in this last year?" "Without a doubt," he confidently replied. Making direct eye contact with him, I asked if they believed God gave His own Son's life to draw them to Him. They agreed that was the case. Acknowledging their son was a Christian, which secured his future with God, I continued, have you considered the unparalleled honor God's given your son? God not only used his own son to draw you to himself, he also used your son to draw you even closer to himself during this last year with Christ Quest Ministries, which would not have been the case without his death, causing you to search for answers. What an honor for your son to be specifically used by God to serve you that way. This new insight gave them great comfort and consolation as they recognized God's purpose in this tragedy. It didn't remove all the pain. It only removed the pain that comes from not knowing there was a purpose in the tragedy. Now, understanding its purpose, they were at peace over this event. This is when James 1:2, New American Standard Bible, enters the picture. It enables us to, quote, consider it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing, unquote, especially God's purposes. God's consolation, encouragement, and comfort, being spiritually centered, is definitely possible when we have developed the ability to reinterpret life's physical events into spiritual lessons or messages from God, as he busies himself caring for and teaching us. Thank you for joining me. If you feel this message has been a blessing to you, please subscribe. It's free. Share it with others. Like it. And especially comment on it. Then too, maybe the Lord might prompt you to consider blessing Christ Quest Ministries with a contribution. Till next time, this is Ken Nair, signing off.